But that was a day of love from the standpoint of the millions.
A day of
hundreds
love?
of thousands. It could have been the largest group I've ever spoken before. They asked me to speak. I went and I spoke. And I used the term peacefully and patriotic.
A day of love.
Hundreds of thousands of people come to Washington.
Look
they
at
didn't
his
come
face.
because of me. They came because of the election. They thought the election was a rigged election, and that's why they came. Some of those people went down to the Capitol. I said, peacefully and patriotically. Nothing done wrong at all. Nothing done wrong.
Yikes.
And action was taken, strong action. Ashley Babbitt was killed. Nobody was killed. There were no guns.
Oh my God, dude!
We didn't have guns. The others.
Did you
had
see
guns,
that
but we
woman?
didn't have guns. And
all right, now, I mean, you know that I like punk Trump regularly. I do, and I enjoy it because he's a piece of shit. But even taking the punking of Trump aside, that was quite possibly the worst answer to a question I have ever seen. That was a horrible, disrespectful. It was kind of like saying, you know, everybody.
Buenas noches, señor presidente Trump. He trabajado toda mi vida con estas manos, agachado por horas, piscando fresa, cortando brócoli.
Good evening, President Trump. For many years, I have worked with these hands, hunched over, picking strawberries and cutting broccoli.
Este duro trabajo es realizado en su mayoría.
It's going to be an undocumented worker question.
This tough job is mainly done by undocumented people.
Yes.
Si usted deporta a esta gente, ¿quién haría ese trabajo y qué precio pagaríamos por la comida?
If you deport these people, who would do that job and what price would we pay for food?
Holy shit. Dude, this guy just brought, like, I just got goosebumps there. If you deport all the undocumented people, who's going to do these really important jobs? And how is this going to affect the price of things? I fucking love this guy. I want to pause here for a second because here's a 64-year-old man who's worked in manual labor his whole life. He didn't go to fucking Yale. He was clearly probably undocumented when he got here. He's speaking Spanish, but this guy is like coming in with a question that just hits right on the point. And it's really important to notice that because Trump likes to make all these undocumented people or these immigrants seem like they're idiots or they're criminals or whatever, but they're really thoughtful, connected individuals. All right, let's see his answer.
please. Finished? Yes?
Yes.
So the problem we have is we had people coming in under my administration, and they were coming in legally. They were coming in through a system that we had, which was great, because I'm the best thing that ever happened to farmers. You know that. I was great. You know, farmers.
Jesus, dude. I'm the best thing that ever happened to farmers. He wasn't. I'm not liking this answer so far.
Right now. Very, very badly under this administration. Under my administration, farmers did very well. We have to have a lot of people come into our country. We just want them to come in legally through a system, because they've released hundreds of thousands of people that are murderers, drug dealers, terrorists.
Dude, now he's like, instead of answering the question, he's talking about murderers and terrorists.
They're coming in totally, nobody knows who they are, where they come from. And the people that are most against it are the Hispanic people. They are totally against it, what's happening.
Dude.
The other thing I can say is that a lot of the jobs that you have and that other people have are being taken by these people that are coming in. And
dude, what is he doing?
The African-American population and the Hispanic population in particular are losing jobs now because millions of people are coming in. So they're coming in, but they're also coming in largely, and tremendous numbers coming in out of mental institutions. They're emptying out mental institutions. They're emptying out insane asylums. That's a step above a mental institution. Worse, bigger problems, bigger problem people.
Dude, no way he didn't, bro. All right.
Mental institutions, they're emptying out.
Dude, I can't believe this guy asked him. He simply asked him, who's going to work these jobs if you deport undocumented people, and now Trump is talking about mental institutions or what the difference between a mental institution and insane asylum
But
is.
they're also coming in largely, and tremendous numbers coming in
Oh, Lord.
out of mental institutions. They're emptying out mental institutions. They're emptying out insane asylums. That's a step above a mental institution.
step above?
Worse, bigger problems, bigger problem people.
Oh my God.
They're emptying out jails. Their jails are being let into our country from Venezuela, but not just South America.
See, you know what's about this is Jorge here knows that the people he works with picking strawberries and cutting broccoli are not people from mental institutions. They're guys like him who just want to work here. They maybe want to send some money back to their home country. They want to get the rest of their family here. And he's going on a screed, though, again, the same shit he says to any person. Like Trump doesn't know how to code switch. He doesn't even understand that this guy is like saying, why are you going to deport everybody I work with? And if you do, what's going to happen to the very important job we all do? And Trump's like mental institutions and insane asylums.
America, from all over the world, they're being let in, from jails, from nobody's ever seen anything like it. The jail population throughout the world has come way down, and it's all coming into the United States of America.
It's a lie.
So we want workers, and we want them to come in, but they have to come in legally. They have to love our country. They have to love you, love our people. The problem with this administration is they've totally lost control. It's the worst president and the worst vice president that we've ever had in this country. What they have done to our country in terms of hurting it. Our farmers, by the way, are dying. They haven't had anything so bad in 25 years. 4 years ago, our farmers, including you, were making a lot of money. They were doing great. Now they're absolutely dying. We're going to turn it around. But we want people to come in, but we don't want murderers. So it was just announced that last month by the Border Patrol.
I'm telling you right now, I cut it off before because he just said, last month. So now he's going to say that lie about the 13,000 people that he's going to claim came in under Biden and Harris. But this is like a list of murderers over the last 40 years, like, immigrants that have committed murder that are in prison and shit. But he's about to, instead of answering who's going to pick strawberries, because like none of the guys picking strawberries have committed any murders. You know what I mean? Like what the
Under Biden and Harris, they allowed 13,099 convicted murderers, people in jail, to come into our country. They released them from jail into our population. And nobody wants that. And that doesn't include the terrorists and all of the others, the gang members, MS-13 gang members, and other gang members. We have to have people that are great people come into our country.
We have to have people
and
that
I
are
want
great
them in
people.
even more than you do. And we're going to make it so that people can come into our country legally.
Wow.
Thank you. Good question. Thank you.
Buenas noches, señor Trump. Good evening, Mr. Trump. Okay. I am a Republican, no longer registered, though. I want to give you the opportunity to try to win back my vote. Okay. Your, I'd say, action and maybe inaction during your presidency and the last few years sort of, was a little disturbing to me. What happened during January 6th and the fact that, you waited so long to take action while your supporters were attacking the Capitol. Coronavirus, I thought the public was misled during coronavirus and that many more lives could have been saved.
Yeah, he's not
if
wrong.
we would have been informed better.
Yeah.
And also people in your administration who don't support you. I'm curious how people so close to you and your administration no longer want to support you. So why would I want to support you?
Dude, this guy's amazing.
If you would answer these questions for me, I would really appreciate it and give you the opportunity. There's, your own vice president doesn't want to support you now.
Thank you, Ramiro.
So the people that don't support, a very small portion, we have a tremendous, about 97% of the people in the administration support me.
It's
but
not
because
true.
It's me, somebody doesn't support, they get a little publicity. The vice president, I disagree with him on what he did. I totally disagreed with him on what he did.
What he did was he refused to betray the Constitution. That's what Mike Pence did. All the evidence showed a free and fair and above board election. And even though there was no evidence of fraud, there was no evidence of any issues with the election, that Donald Trump had in fact lost, Donald Trump wanted him to refuse certification of the election anyway. And the supporters were going to hang Mike Pence because of that. And Donald Trump was totally okay with that.
You had hundreds of thousands of people come to Washington.
Look
They
at
didn't
his
come
face.
because of me. They came because of the election. They thought the election was a rigged election, and that's why they came. Some of those people went down to the Capitol. I said, peacefully and patriotically, nothing done wrong at all, nothing done wrong.
Yikes.
And action was taken, strong action. Ashley Babbitt was killed. Nobody was killed. There were no guns.
Oh, my
down
God,
there.
dude.
We didn't have guns. The others
Did you
had
see
guns,
that
but we
woman?
didn't have guns. And some of those people went down to the Capitol. I said, peacefully and patriotically, nothing done wrong at all, nothing done wrong.
He used that term, but like it wasn't peaceful and patriotic, and people did damage and did harm, and people died, and people got roughed up and attacked and assaulted, and then they got tried and put in jail, and now you're saying you're going to pardon them all. You're going to let them all off because you support the violence they committed.
And action was taken, strong action. Ashley Babbitt was killed. Nobody was killed. There were no guns down there. We didn't have guns. The others had guns, but we didn't have guns. And when I
There were no guns there. The others had guns, but we didn't have guns, he said. We didn't have guns. Dude, what? We didn't have guns. So he said we. So he's acknowledging that that there was a group of his people that were there.
When I say we, these are people that walked down. This was a tiny percentage of the overall, which nobody sees and nobody shows. But that was a day of love from the standpoint of the millions.
A day of
hundreds
love?
of thousands. It could have been the largest
Wow.
group I've ever spoken before. They asked me to speak. I went and I spoke. And I used the term peacefully and patriotic.
A day of love. Oh, dude. All right. Hold on. We got to pause for one second here because we got to go to the day of love, guys.
Multiple capital injuries. Multiple capital injuries.
It was not a day of love, guys. It was not a day of love. It was a day of significant violence perpetrated by people who didn't want to accept the election results that Trump had lost. And we've seen the videos of the Proud Boys.
So we just stormed the fucking Capitol, took the motherfucking place back. That was so much fun.
So much America. So much America.
More voters. January 6th will be a day in infamy.
Yes, yes.
And now look at him doing the little white power sign that they all adopted. This guy's in prison. They were there to violently slam around the Capitol and create havoc in Trump's dirty ass name. And they were loving that violence. And these guys like flash white power signs. These are the same guys that when a library has a book they don't like or a school decides to celebrate Pride Month, they show up and physically harm the librarians and the parents for no reason. These guys are fucking pieces of shit. And he's in jail now for like 17 years. And good for them, bro. And that's why this guy is like, really? Like, really? Like, there's no way.
Hundreds of thousands. It could have been the largest group I've ever spoken before. They asked me to speak. I went and I spoke. And I used the term peacefully and patriotically. If you look at the Democrats, what they say, you look at Maxine Waters and you look at Hillary Clinton and you look at what they say, and they don't put that on. They only put Republicans on. But they couldn't get me because of the fact that I said everything's got to be peaceful and patriotic.
So Trump he said they couldn't get me. This is during the impeachment and the prosecution. But let's just put it to you this way. When you know your supporters are violent, you call somebody out and they get death threats. They get bomb threats. Those Proud Boys are attacking libraries. We know that your supporters are violent. And so if your violent supporters show up to storm the Capitol, you think because you stand there and say do it peacefully and patriotically, that absolves you of responsibility? He whips up the frenzy and then says, but don't hurt anyone, wink, wink, and then tries to absolve himself after the fact. It wasn't peaceful and patriotic, and people did damage and did harm, and people died, and people got roughed up and attacked and assaulted, and then they got tried and put in jail, and now you're saying you're going to pardon them all. You're going to let them all off because you support the violence they committed. They couldn't get me because I said peacefully and patriotically, so therefore I'm going to let all the people they did get, and I'm going to let them out of jail.
I said, we'll see how it all works out, but I think that we're right now in another election. All I want is honest elections. I'm willing to take any chance. I want honest elections. We need borders and we need honest elections. And if we don't have either of those two things, that's it.
Again, to Trump, an honest election, the only honest election means he wins. If he did not win, it's not an honest election. That's the fine print right there. The only way an election is honest to Trump is if he wins.
We have tremendous loyalty to the Trump administration. Biden, when he lost in Afghanistan, when he looked so bad, that's
now
why
he's
Putin
talking
went
about
into
Afghanistan.
Ukraine, in my opinion. He looked and he saw he should have fired every general involved in that. There was a disaster. He should have fired a lot of people because he had the most unsuccessful administration in the history of our country. A disaster, acknowledged. I, again, had the best economy we've ever had. I rebuilt our military. I defeated ISIS.
Yeah, I don't think he's winning the vote, dude. He looks like he's like, I don't know if he's voting for Harris, but he sure as ain't voting for him.
Biden should have fired a lot of people because he had a very unsuccessful administration. And the first thing, the person he should have fired is his vice president because she's absolutely terrible. And I'll tell you, she's no way fit. In any way fit.
So now his answer of like, what about what happened at the Capitol? And he's like rambling about
the
Kamala Harris.
President of the United States. In fact, she turned on him and they had a coup. They took it over from a president that got 14
Dude,
million
he
votes.
stepped down.
I'm no fan of his, but he got 14 million votes. He won the primary. She was out of the primary. She was the first one to quit. And she left 22 people. She was the first one out. She never made it to Iowa. And
dude, what is he even talking about, bro? It's like, yo, hey, old man, diaper boy, you remember the fucking question? It's about you in January 6th and about you bungling COVID and about when your supporters being violent thugs. What you going to do about this?
They take it over from him. So that's the way it is. When people don't do their job, I fire them. And if they say bad things about me, that's okay. But overall, look, we're leading in the polls now. We have an election going on right now.
We're leading in the polls.
Really well with Hispanics. And
dude, he's saying you're not doing really well with this Hispanic motherfucker.
Doing well pretty much with every group. When people don't do a job,
oh my God,
I'm sorry, I get rid of them. And if they want to say bad things, I've never fired somebody that said wonderful things. Sometimes they think about it. But when you let somebody go, even...
That was actually very telling. He said, I've never fired anyone who says wonderful things. But what if they do a bad job? What if you have a guy who says wonderful things, but does a bad job? Donald Trump will not fire that guy. He only fires people based on whether they say nice things or bad things, which means a good worker, a valuable worker who says, dude, you're doing the wrong thing. You need to listen to me here. He'll fire that guy. But somebody who doesn't do shit but says, yes, Trumpy, you're doing great. You're a genius. He'll keep those people on. And that's really telling, guys. That's why his administration was such a disaster.
For cause, and I only do for cause. They don't generally say great things. But Biden, never think of it. into the
Why is he even
worst
talking about
administration
Biden?
in the history of our country.
Dude, Biden has nothing to do with this question, by the way.
He never fired one person, and that's disgraceful. And you look at the border. The border has been a disaster.
Oh, now we're on the border.
All they had to do
All
was
right.
leave my border. I had the safest, most secure border, and people came in legally. I had the safest border in the history of our country. All he had to do was leave our people and leave our policies. I had a remain in Mexico policy, worked out with the Mexican government. The head of Mexico, all of them, they were my friends.
The head of Mexico, dude. He doesn't even know the Mexican president's name, of course, because he's not a dictator, right? The head of Mexico, dude, Trumpy. All right, now, I mean, you know that I like punk Trump regularly. I do, and I enjoy it because he's a piece of shit. But even taking the punking of Trump aside out, that was quite possibly the worst answer to a question, I have ever seen. Like, that was a horrible, like, disrespectful. He did not answer the question. No, he avoided the question because he may have said peacefully and patriotically, so they didn't get him. They weren't able to, like, ensnare him legally, but he knows those people were violent at his command because he believed the election wasn't free and fair. They believed it was rigged. He believed it was rigged. He said he believes it was rigged. J.D. Vance has said he believes it was rigged. So they support that shit. Fuck him, bro. We need to keep him away from the presidency.